Let's talk about body fat percentage. How lean do I need to get? Is there a healthiest and ideal body fat percentage to maintain? Does our body fat percentage affect how much muscle that we can gain as well? Let's answer all of these questions. There are many reasons to get lean. Better cardiovascular health, reduced overall mortality, insulin sensitivity, hormones, for example, your testosterone will get better as you get leaner up to a certain point. So encyclopedic amount of benefits. Oftentimes when this is asked, there's actually an underlying question that they actually want to know. If I gave you your physique that you were after, the lean physique, you have visible abs, you have cap deltoids, you just looked like a superhero and you were happy. You're confident in that body. But I couldn't tell you what body fat percentage that it was, would you care? Probably not, because the look is what you are after. And when we ask about body fat percentage and we are pressed to know, it's more so that we just don't quite know how to quantify the outcome aside from just body fat percentage, because we've seen body fat percentage charts. We've seen, the comparisons of different body fatness across male, female, and the percentages that correspond with that as an estimation. And we can say, that is what I want to look like, obviously, on my body. As a practical measure, body fat percentage is fairly difficult to measure reliably. On the lower end, we have like those bioimpedance scales where you step on the scale. Most gyms will have some version of this. Shoots up the current through your body, returns that current and measures what's happened in between using calculations, spits out your body fat percentage, at least an estimation. We have smart scales, which have a similar technology. On the far right, in terms of accuracy, we have DEXA scans, MRIs, but these things are expensive and inaccessible for most people, especially for just people who are just wanting to get leaner. And it's not for an athletic or a competitive purpose, it's just for their own journey, right? Keeping this in mind, specifically measuring your body fat percentage is fairly irrelevant. What we can instead rely on is a combination of photos, so visual progression, which in reality is what most people are after, right? We don't really care about the numbers, we just want to know how we look and want to feel better about how we look as well, okay? Circumferential or hip measurements, right? So waist and hip measurements, for example, will be able to tell you, are you coming down through your midsection? Because if your midsection is coming down, then you're going to be getting leaner, okay? Plus you're fitting better in your clothes and your pants and so forth. That's something that's a very practical day-to-day that's going to impact our lives. And of course, your body weight. So your body weight will trend down over time as you get leaner. Now, many people think that, well, I'm gaining muscle mass at the same time and I'm losing body fat at the same time, so my weight will just stay in the middle. Yes, you are going to be building muscle mass and losing body fat at the time. In other words, you're improving your body composition or recomposition. If you are new to training, then this is a fantastic position to be in. As you get more advanced, you're going to diet down, you're going to basically go up and down in terms of this cutting and lean gaining cycle to maximize your progress. But the rate of muscle mass is far, far slower than the rate of fat. Like you can lose a kilogram of body fat in a week, but you can't gain a kilogram of muscle mass in a week. And so because of that, the net outcome is a reduction in body weight. And the next question is then, okay, how much body weight do I need to lose before I look like this image I have in my mind of where I want to go? You want to be about 10 to 15% of your body weight. In my observation, this is where striking visual differences come about. 10 to 15% of your body weight, chop it off, and that's probably where you're going to finish up to get an ideal look, okay? Obviously, that's just a guide. Some people will be less, some people will be more, depending on where you're starting, okay? And it might surprise you because most people think that they're only a couple kilos away from looking completely lean and healthy, athletic. But I can guarantee you that you're underestimating how much body fat you have and how much you need to lose to look a certain way. But to answer the question around what is the ideal body fat percentage, for men, for women, I'm just going to answer that. That's generally going to be about 12 to 15%. For men, for female, let's say about 20%, a little bit higher, a little bit lower in that range. Just add 5% to what the male body fat percentage is as a general guide. Keep in mind, again, the ideal look that you have in your mind might not precisely be 12%. It might in reality be more like 15 or 14, whatever it is. Doesn't really matter, right? Everyone will have their own finishing points of where they finish their fat loss phase. And you'll also know based on just how it feels, right? Some people can hang around 15% and it's easy. It's just where they sit. Others can hang around at 12% because they're a bit more ectomorphic and is just how their body is built from a genetic standpoint and how that affects their behavior, their psychology around food. They can maintain a leaner body composition, or maybe they're just someone who has a very active lifestyle as well. It's part of their work, right? Like you're a personal trainer or you're an athlete, much easier to maintain a leaner body composition compared to, say, if you're a desk worker who has to sit down for 10 hours a day. There's a lot of factors that come into maintaining a body composition. Having said that, I believe everyone with a good lifestyle can maintain a lean body composition, and it ultimately is something which you make a decision about as well, right? Like, yes, we have different advantages and disadvantages from a genetic standpoint, from where our body just feels comfortable being, yeah? Some bodies feel comfortable being leaner. Some bodies feel more comfortable being bigger because of, homeostasis, right? Some people will struggle to get to 15% more than others. This is not meant to discourage you. This is meant to actually get you to work harder to make this goal happen, because it's your goal. You're here, ready to commit, all right? So I answered the big questions around what is the ideal body fat percentage. Let's move on. After that, then you'll return back to higher calories. Your weight will slowly trend back up as you fill out more, as you build muscle mass in a lean gaining phase. Now, you may have seen photos where there's like the same person left, right, and the weight is only like 1 kilogram difference, but they look drastically different. Sometimes this can be misleading because what's happened is in between, they've actually dieted down, then rebuilt themselves back up, and it only shows the start and finish. It doesn't show what's happened in between. And so it looks like that the person has stayed at the same weight and has just changed their physique by eating at maintenance. Oftentimes, this is not what has happened. They've dieted down, then built themselves back up, and the coach has just posted the before and after being only a kilogram difference, which technically true, but it doesn't give the whole context around it. Most people will do an initial cutting phase and then rebuild themselves back up using an actual strategy there. And they might end up back to their original weight and look very different. There are many examples below in this article of other people who have lost 10 to 15% of their body weight, some even more, to get to a physique that they were happier with, okay? There are other factors that are going to affect how you're going to look at different percentage, because we may have different body fat distribution. Let's say we both have 20 kilograms of body fat in our body, but I have 15 kilograms on my legs, and 5 kilograms up top. And then you have 10 kilograms across upper body and lower body. It's still the same amount of net body weight. And assuming all else is equal, we have the same body fat percentage, but it looks more impressive on me because I'm leaner in my upper body compared to you, where it's just more evenly distributed, right? I've got an example of previous clients, Luigi, who's a legend, at peak bulk still has abs, right? Genetically, he just doesn't hold much in his midsection. He holds it more in other areas like your lower back, areas that are less noticeable, okay? So body fat distribution does have a role in what your body fat percentage looks like. Some people have to get very, very lean before their abs start to come through. Yes, part of that is because they lack the muscularity in the ab muscles, but again, it's something to consider as well. The number isn't an all-encompassing representation of how you will look at a given percentage. I'm going to describe some basic terminology here. So body composition is just a broad terminology to describe our ratio of muscle mass to body fat, right? Everyone wants improved body composition. You look like Captain America or Wonder Woman, fantastic. Body fat percentage is that expressed in a percentage. BMI is more common health measures where we get our weight and our height and we measure that in relation to weight. That gives a general idea of where you are in terms of underweight, normal weight, overweight, obese. And then we have our FFMI, our fat-free mass index. There are calculators online for your FFMI, okay? So that gives you a good idea of what your max muscle building potential is in your lifetime. Everyone wants better body composition, which will typically present itself in a lower body fat percentage. If you have good muscularity, your BMI is probably going to tell you that you're overweight, right? Because BMI doesn't account for body composition. It just gives you the total weight. Like for example, if I put my stats into a BMI calculator, I'm technically overweight, but I'm not overweight. It's just the muscularity, right? This goes for anyone who spends a good amount of time in the gym. You'll probably say you're overweight. FFMI, again, I sit at about 24, I want to say. There's some room to grow, but I'm definitely getting closer to my genetic ceiling, if there was one, right? It's more just less of a ceiling and more just incremental diminishing returns. So overall, is it worth it? Yes, I think everyone in their lifetime should get to a level of leanness that is going to test them, see what you look like when you're that lean, because you learn a lot. You honestly do learn a lot about getting very lean. You don't have to step on stage. You don't have to do a photo shoot, but get lean, even if it's for yourself, just to test yourself. We are so privileged with the food that we have around us. We are just so reliant on the abundance of food. And honestly, you get a lot of food gratitude when you are more controlled with your food and you undergo a dieting process. You don't have to maintain a super shredded physique year round, right? This is just an illusion that has been created by social media and Instagram and TikTok, whatever. Like if you spend any amount of time on there, you will see renowned athletes sponsored by big gym companies, clothing companies, whatever it may be, and they're sponsoring the most shredded, diced athletes, male and female, who are relying on good lighting, photography, and or drugs, right? Don't let what you see online skew your own body image, right? This isn't about creating an unhealthy obsession with getting shredded and lean. No, there's health benefits, there's performance benefits, there's, you're allowed to feel confident in your own body as well and getting leaner to do that. Like, don't let anyone tell you that what you're doing is toxic because you're trying to get leaner. You don't have to stay there, diet down to 12%, see what that feels like, and just more in the year round, just sit around 15 to 17% as a male, or low 20s as a female, 22% to 23% as a female, and feel happy and healthy there. That's very achievable. In the world that we live in, where there's food abundance, there's convenience eating, there's temptation everywhere around living an unhealthy lifestyle and the habits that can be promoted, that is going to take effort, all right? But you got to create your own norm. There's also the question around, does body fat percentage affect your rate of muscle gain? So it's commonly thought that in order to build muscle mass, you have a better time doing it at 12% body fat. So you have to get very lean before you then build up. Now, there is a level of truth to that, but specifically, there are many real life examples of athletes, strong man, strong woman, sumo wrestlers, rugby players, like big people who are higher body fat percentage, but have an impressive amount of muscularity. And this is a contradiction to the common interpretation that, if you have high body fat percentage, you're going to stunt your muscle growth because there's too much inflammation, your testosterone is going to take a nosedive, and your nutritional partitioning is not going to be good. So for example, you're not going to be able to utilize carbohydrates as effectively to a level that's going to stunt muscle growth. These are things that can happen, but it's not going to necessarily put a handbrake on your muscle growth. Data out there to show that this isn't the case. Having said that, do not take this as permission to permabulk, as they call it, and just bulk until you look like a bear with the hopes of reaching an optimal amount of muscle mass on the way up. Most people, especially if you're watching this, do not want to gain high amounts of body fat in order to get some potential extra muscle gain along the way. I recommend that even when you are in a gaining phase, that you stay within a healthy level of lean. You don't have to get super fluffy in order to get the muscle building responses. It's just more practical to diet down first, see how much muscularity you actually have. Because again, most of you will be surprised how much muscle mass you actually have when you diet down. So many people tell me, I started dieting down 3-4 weeks in, and I started feeling too small. I'm losing muscle mass. No, you didn't have that muscle mass to begin with, and you were just holding on to more body fat than you thought you did. So diet down, get an honest look of your physique, and then build yourself back up gradually, okay? So for many practical purposes, in terms of physique honesty, in terms of feeling confident in the look that you have, health as well, like you don't want to bulk so far that you start to get very poor cardiovascular health. You're heaving coming up a flight of stairs. You are struggling to sleep because of the food and bloating that you have from overfeeding to keep your calories high. There are many reasons why you don't want to go beyond that aside from just muscle growth, okay? So hope you enjoyed that. Read through the rest of the article, go through the examples so that you can see more about this in greater detail. If you enjoyed this video, please let me know, send me a message, give me your takeaways, your key insights into this, and also share this with someone who is obsessed about their body fat percentage. Send them this video, drop my name in there as well so that they're familiar with my work, and I'd like to be able to reach out to them to spread the word about what I do, and also share the experience that you're having with them so that they're better educated and they can get their goals faster, more efficient, smarter as well, okay? Thank you, I'll see you on the next one.